Testing, testing. We are testing to make sure we got sound on the live feed. Do we have sound on the live feed? Is there any sound at all? Yeah. All right. Okay, well, there it is what it is. The sun's right there. Hey, break.
Can you bump up the speaker a little bit because they can't hear all the way to their ears, or no?
It's going to start ringing because then you're going to get everybody. They're linked. Thief. He wants to stand over there. I'm finding out right now. Is he wanting to stand over there?
No, he'll come up here.
Okay, never mind.
You're good. You're good.
Fantastic.
You guys are fine.
I had heard he may have wanted other. Okay. All right, so we ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, can everybody hear me? Everybody good? All right. Hello, everyone. On behalf of the family, we would like to thank everybody for coming out, and for all those who's going to be joining us on the live feed. We just want to thank you for joining us to celebrate the life of Darin Wakeland. The family would like to thank you for all the love and support that everyone has shown through this difficult time. Well, it's Elizabeth, but it feels like a cuss word if I don't call her Aunt Sissy. But Aunt Sissy told me something about Darin's tattoo that I actually didn't know. So Darin has a tattoo on his arm that reads, "I am that I am," and is based on the scripture in Exodus 3:14. The reason the scripture wasn't next to the tattoo is that people would ask Darin about it, and he could tell them about it, where it came from, and talk about God. The scripture reads as this: "And God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to them." In Hebrew, this phrase translates, "I am who I am," but this phrase was used quite often in their normal situations, and it just depended on the context of how it translates. Normal situations would include, "I am watching the sheep," "I am walking on the road," or "I am his father." However, when used as a standalone description, "I am" is the ultimate statement of self-sufficiency, self-existence, and immediate presence. And to me, that described my Uncle Darin to a T. Darin was an immediate presence that everyone took notice of right away. Whether it was on the dance floor, just being his normal goofy self, and there was definitely never alcohol needed for him to act out in any way, shape, or form. He was always the life of the party. So at this time, we are going to pray, and then they have asked his brother Doug to do the eulogy. Lord, we thank you for everything you have done, whether we see it or not. I pray that you bring comfort and peace to everybody here and everybody joining us online. I pray special comfort for Aunt Sissy, Ashley, Felicia, and Danielle. Lord, be with us as we take this time to remember Uncle Darin, and give us strength and boldness to everyone that is going to speak during this ceremony. We thank you again. Amen. So like I said, right now, my Uncle Darin's brother Doug is going to come up and give the eulogy.
Hi, I'm Doug, Darin's brother. I can't believe how many people love my brother. Look around and see these people, you know. It's amazing to me. So when my brother was a little kid, he loved cars, Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars and stuff like that. And when he went to bed at night, he'd go to bed with a Tonka truck, you know, instead of a teddy bear, you know. But anyone that knew my brother well knows that he was a stubborn stubborn person. When my brother was a kid, he hated vegetables. I mean, he hated vegetables, and he loved cookies, sweets, and stuff like that. It was so bad. First my dad tried to, you're going to sit there until you eat those vegetables. And he'd sit there until he fell asleep, and then, that didn't work. And he'd make him try to eat it the next day, and that didn't work. It got down to the point where he would put his knee on my brother's legs, put his arms around and hold his nose shut, hold the fork full of vegetables right there, wait for my brother to open his mouth, And I was, it scared the hell out of me. I thought he was going to choke to death, but my brother he wouldn't give up, And then when it came to cookies, he would always bogart the cookies. My dad went as far as putting 3 little rows of cookies and putting our names on it and all that. And we'd come home and they'd all 3 be gone, and then he'd blame it on me. He always looked up to me. He was proud of me, and he'd do the same thing. Like I start smoking, he starts smoking, Only thing is he's like 12, he's smoking already. But he always was proud of me. When I was in high school, I pierced my ear. And back in the 70s, that was a pretty weird thing to do. People didn't do it very often. So what did my brother do? He pierced his ear 6 times. All up and down his ear, he got it pierced and stuff. I got a tattoo of a lion. You were talking about my brother's tattoos earlier. And my brother gets a tattoo of a whole pride of him on his back, with all his family's names underneath and everything. It was a pretty neat tattoo, And when I was younger, I had some problems with alcohol and drugs and stuff, and he got to watch me do that, And if you know my brother, he don't do drinking. I mean, he might have a beer here and there, but he don't drink and he don't smoke weed. He doesn't do anything like that. You know why? He doesn't have to, because he's on a natural high all the time. He was so, I got to say how impressed I was with Elizabeth during this last period of time. She did everything she could to be literally as close as she could to my brother for every day until he passed. And it just shows how much she loved him and how much he loved her unapologetically. He loved her with everything he had. And the same with his kids and his grandkids. He loved them all big time. I was always impressed of how close their family was. If they all didn't live together, they lived about a block apart, and so they'd constantly be together. And my brother was constantly involved in the grandchildren's lives. He was there for them every day. And he was a cowboy fan, big time. Another tattoo, he had he had the star tattooed on his leg, And he loved football, but he had all girls. So what did he do? He became a cheer dad. And the girls all became cheerleaders so he could be involved in something regarding football, He was just the most dedicated father, And he wasn't afraid to show his emotions. He just didn't care. He didn't care. My brother didn't care what other people thought of him. If he wanted to dance, he don't care where. He's going to dance. You know what I mean? And if he wanted to sing or whatever, that's what he would do. But he was never embarrassed to show how his feeling. He would cry. He didn't have a problem crying. He cried regularly. He cried more as an adult than he did as a kid. And then, you know, a lot of you know that he recently went through some heart surgery. And so he was in the hospital. It was a couple of months after his heart surgery. Being the stubborn guy he does, what does he do? He decides to ride a roller coaster. You know, the ones that have the sign that says, if you have a heart problem or anything like that, don't ride it? Well, he got in there and rode it and then went and told his doctor, hey, I rode the roller coaster, you know. And he came to a party at the house, and the kids were playing that game where you tie a bag to your leg and everyone tries to stamp out the other people's bags. And so I look over and here he is tying a bag to his foot, you know. And he played his game with all the kids, you know. All I can say is he was a good man. He was a devoted husband and a very involved father and a hands-on grandfather. And he was a good, honest man. And I'm going to miss him. I have so many questions that I want to ask him now that I didn't think of before, and he was the only one that could answer them, you know. So anyway, that's about all I have to say. And I love my brother, and everybody here loved my brother. So there's a lot of love in this room. So thank you for letting me speak.
Oh, thank you. I know your life on earth was troubled, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. And go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout in love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. Go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. And go to heaven and shout in love for the Father and the Son. You're safely home in the arms of Jesus. Eternal life my brother's found. The day will come, I know I'll see him in that sacred place on holy ground. So go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. And go to heaven and shout in love for the Father and the Son. Go to heaven and shout in love for the Father and the Son.
Okay, so the family has asked a few people to prepare some words, and I believe first on the list is my dad, Dave. It's not what I heard, sir.
Thank you. I don't know why I'm first. I really didn't prepare any words. I just wanted to say a few things. Which, thank you, Doug, for stealing most of it. And my three-cheer dad joke, that was coming, but you totally blew that for me. But, yeah. Very, very special guy, Darin Wakeland. I've known each other for 40 plus years, and all I got to say is he was one of my heroes. And he certainly wanted to be a football dad, but yeah, he got 3 beautiful daughters out of the mix, and he never looked back. Anyway, who's next?
Okay, thank you. All right, I believe next is my Uncle Bobby.
Wow. Darin, yeah. My experience, I first met him. I was 15 years old. Young, we were young kids. And man, I put that kid, he was dating my sister. And I put him through it, huh, sis? And it didn't really solidify until actually he introduced me to Jimmy. And I found out that he was coming down to this family and helping taking care of a paraplegic young man named Jimmy. And right there, you can date my sister, you can marry her, he was that incredible, because that right there just made exactly who Darin was. The selflessness that he had for everybody, even in high school. He was an incredible guy. There were a few times, his character, he's so funny. There was a time we were coming back from lunch, and one of the teachers was coming out of the office, Mr. McLaughlin, and he scurries up to this guy real fast, and he just gets in sync with him, So me and Kurt, we get along, and just a long hallway. And I didn't believe he got so far. The girls were waving, "Hi, Mr. McLaughlin," and there's Darin with his Steve Martin grin, "Hi," waving, and it was so funny. But we get to the end, and I look back, and there's like half the school is with us. Everybody knew Darin. It's like he was a character. And we ended up, getting in trouble because we collapsed into this guy once he stopped at the stairs. But yeah, I'll never forget that, and I always get a chuckle every time I think about it. But that was the character he was. He always had a good time, and he wanted other people to have a good time. In high school, we had a handshake that we'd come up to each other, and because Darin would love to be a spectacle, he would go, "Bobby," real loud at the top of his lungs, and we'd go out racing at each other, and instead of grabbing hands, we'd lean forward and grab each other's leg, shake it. Did it with nobody else, That's how incredible this guy was. He loved us. He loved my sister with all his heart, man. Very dedicated young man. I'm glad that, I got to go to school with him. We went, we had the same job, you know, worked at Bob's Big Boy. We fought over the same girl, you know. Sorry, sis, but, you know. I think Kurt ended up with her, though, and married her, you know, in the end. Life went by, you know, and I'm glad that they got back together. I brought Elizabeth to Carol's wedding, and they were been together ever since. Because I even left her there because, you know, I knew she was in good hands with Darin. Darin would take care of her, and he has. He's done just that. Like Doug said, he's devoted family man. Ohana, we always said. And when I was going through cancer, selfless again, Darin right there, taking care of me, made sure I went to every single appointment, you know. I know the whole family was there, but that, to me, I could never thank him enough for helping me through that situation. And I think Darin was a, you know, big part of me getting better. Yeah. Miss the man? Yeah, I'm going to miss the man. His legacy is his selflessness, on how much he cared for so many people. And it shows right here, his legacy. All these people here, you know, come for him. And it means a lot, you know, because we all need to be a little bit like that, like Darin, to love all each other. Because in the end, it's only going to be God and people. So, yeah, love everybody, just like Darin, and treat everybody with kindness, like he does. And thank you all for coming.
Sean, would you come up, please?
So last night, my Aunt Sissy asked me if I'd like to say something today. I was unsure because I didn't know if I'd be able to find the strength. So here we go. Like I said, I'm Sean. I'm the oldest nephew on our side of the family. And the reason I'm wearing this today isn't for me. It's for him. Been in the Air Force coming up on 18 years now. Started off as an airman basic, bottom of the totem pole. And he didn't care. He was just proud. He never got to see me in this. But he always ensured that I knew how proud he was of me. Every promotion, every small form of recognition, everything. Consistency. That was Darin Wakeland. They even drove up to have dinner with me the day I got back from Afghanistan, just to have dinner and drive back home. That's who he was. The last long conversation we had was when I pinned on my current rank of captain. And his words were, "If you think I'm going to salute you, you're right. You earned it." And those words just echo in my head. At the beginning of my career, I was horrible with my money. I bought that new Mustang that I couldn't afford. And this would cause me concern for the holidays. I lived in Vegas, 4.5-hour drive. I was worried about how I was going to pay for the gas money to get home. And him and Aunt Sissy would no, that's not right. They'd force money on me so that I didn't have to worry about coming home for gas money for Christmas. Even before that, he was there. Before my career started, I was in an uncomfortable state. My parents split up. That's hard on any kid. So I'm trying to make do, trying to get by. And he called me, asked me if I wanted to come up and play pool, because that was his thing. So that's what I did. I came up, I played pool with my Uncle Darin. He had such a big heart and wanted to reach out to everybody struggling, and I hope that continues forward with my generation. Even before that, high school, middle school, Pop Warner football, I got to witness the best cheer dad and flag football dad, because he was there for Ashley when she wanted to do that too. He was all about his girls, my aunt and my cousins. Unwavering, consistent. That's the word that keeps coming to my mind. But where I really saw him shine was when he got called Papa. He took off. He went next level. The joy in his eyes when he held Liam for the first time was something else. He was even there for my kids. He put them in Romo jerseys, so I got to forgive him for that. But even when my kids were around, just the pride that beamed on his face when he was holding William after he put him in that godforsaken Romo jersey. Darin, you are steadfast in your love for your family. And not just your family, our whole family. Nobody was an outsider. You loved your house better than anybody I've seen love their house. I hope we've all learned a little bit from you. And I hope we all strive to be a little bit more like you. My fellow outlaw wife, you'll get that if you're an in-law. Wishes to send her love and wishes your family the best. So this is a thank you for all that support. But that support goes much further than this uniform. Rest easy and know the next generation is organizing and planning a way somehow to fill your shoes. I love you.
All right, Rebecca, would you be the next one?
Okay, not to my chin. All right, I thought this was going to be a lot easier, and I was buzzed last night when I said I would do this. Totally regretting it. I had to write it down because there's a reason why my Uncle Darin used to call me the sailor or truck driver. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. As a child, there was a lot going on between my parents. And when I opened up and told my Uncle Darin how it made me feel, he made me feel safe. So my uncle and aunt's house became my little safe haven where I was allowed to forget about everything and escape. As I got older, there was never a time he wouldn't set aside, where it was at a birthday party or whatever was going on, to come and make sure I was okay and didn't need to vent about anything going on in my life. He was always the sober life of the party and loved each and every one of his nieces and nephews as his own, even though he always made a point to tell me that I was a favorite. I love you, Uncle Darin, so much, and I'm going to miss all our talks and your guidance, and I will always be your Rakaka.
All right. I was hoping I could keep those emotions repressed, but it's getting harder and harder. So, Christy, it's your turn, yes. You hold it up here.
Okay. I didn't write it down. I just thought I could wing it. But, I didn't know you were the favorite niece. I thought I was the favorite niece. Yeah. You always knew Uncle Darin was at our house when he comes to visit, because all the kids in the neighborhood were lined up, and he'd throw us all up and high in the air. All of us would get in line, and he would do it for forever because we loved it. And he was always just so much fun, and he did let you know what he really cared about you. You know, you knew he loved you and cared about you. I never doubted it. And the way he's the best dad for you guys. You guys are so lucky. He just loved you guys. I've never seen anything like that as a girl dad, girl mom with girls. He was just wonderful. And I think the most thing that ever stuck out to me is the way he loved my Aunt Elizabeth. I already told you this. But I've never seen someone adore someone so much, and it's always stuck out to me how much he adored you. And I'm just really lucky that we got to have my Uncle Darin. He's definitely gone too soon, and like my dad said, there's questions I wish I would have had, and I just know he's watching out for all of us still. I know he is, and thank you guys.
Amy? Amy, if you'd like to come up, please.
Hi, Darin's my brother-in-law. Darin was a character, and we repeat lines from characters of shows, like definitely, most definitely. He loved to say from Rain Man. From the old Saturday Night Live, Doug and Darin would say, "We're Hans and Franz, and we're just here to pump you up." And of course, there was the church lady. Well, isn't that special? We shared many laughs together. When Darin was just a young man, he came to live with us for a while. And one day he said he was going to the wedding of an old friend. When we saw him the next day, he said he had ran into his school sweetheart. I didn't know that his brother had left him there, her there, but I do know who she got a ride home with. Oh. And there's love story picked up again. He was thrilled to have his first daughter, Danielle. I got to be in the room when Felicia was born. We were away on vacation, so we missed Ashley showing up. Darin was in daughter heaven and couldn't have loved being more involved in their lives. I remember once they were like a junior high-ish, and he was very strict. And he's like, "These girls will not wear a skirt shorter than, right here, and these crop tops and all this stuff." And summer rolled around and high school started, and next time we saw the girls, they were in hot pants and crop tops. He couldn't stand up to them. We were so glad to be involved in their lives. And Elizabeth and Darin's love continued and grew until his last breath. I'm angry that Darin didn't recover from COVID. I felt confident that God's will was to heal him. I could see us all rejoicing together. I had trouble turning to God, who I felt had betrayed me. But if I didn't turn to God, who would I turn to? God is my rock, my comfort. God taught me what love means. Isaiah 57:1-2. Good people pass away. The godly often die before their time. No one seems to care, wonder why. No one seems to understand that God is protecting them from evil to come. For those who follow godly paths enter into peace. They find rest as they lie in death. I do see us all rejoicing together, celebrating Darin's life. Darin was a blessing to many. Definitely, most definitely. The celebration shows how many people's lives he touched, because he was always there to pump you up. To sum up Darin's life, well, wasn't that special? Thank you.
Okay, so forgive me if it just looks like I'm reading and I'm not making good eye contact, but it's the only way to suppress those emotions down and get through this. So, all right. There's a popular saying, you do not appreciate what you have until you have lost it. Boris Yeltsin, the president of Russia in the 90s, said this about freedom. He compared it to air, which you would never notice is there until it's not. It is the same for failed relationships, pests, and of course the passing of family members. At this point in time, people who have passed away in my life, it was easy for me to justify it. I almost felt like a robot because I didn't get emotional about it. Because they're older, it made sense. It's a part of life. But when I heard the news of Uncle Darin, it was shocking. I didn't really settle. I couldn't really process it until, of course, I got on the phone with my Aunt Sissy, and then it came real quick. So that saying, you do not appreciate what you have until you've lost it, has a whole new meaning. If you would have told me this 2 months ago that this would happen, I probably wouldn't have believed you. So then it made me ask myself, like, how do I move on from this? And I can't give the answers for everybody, but this is what it is for me. One, it is healthy to allow yourself to grieve. It is okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to ask the question why. And it's okay to take however much time that you need for that. I have learned through this, it isn't helping keeping myself busy to not think about it. Because the second I stop and the second I start thinking about it, I break down. I had to be okay with my kids and wife seeing me sad and having this moment of weakness. Fact is, Uncle Darin dying is hard. It sucks. It's very hard to process. It still doesn't even feel real. I know I'm not alone in this way of thinking, so that's why the number 2 thing is so important. Something I learned from Darin, and I think you practice it better than anybody, is to rely on your community and your family. Our family has a very unusual relationship. Everybody lives either with each other or a block away, and I think Doug said that. And we're all hurting. You can look around. Look who's here. Everybody's hurting. And we have the rare ability to call, talk face to face with each other, to share stories, laugh, cry, and to help comfort each other. So in that spirit, I have a few stories I'd like to share. Since I was 10 years old, me and Darin had a bet. Anytime the Chargers and the Cowboys would play in the regular season, it was $5, whoever won. And even at 10, 12 years old, he'd expect that $5. And he would not hesitate to tear me down at 10 years old about how bad the Chargers sucked. What's really hard, and I haven't really, like I said, stopped to think about it yet, but I probably will tomorrow, is that tomorrow's their time within 4 years that their Chargers and Cowboys are going to play. And it's going to be really hard when the Chargers do beat the Cowboys that I'm not going to be able to call and talk crap to Uncle Darin. But, of course, when I started that bet, it was around 1996, 97, and there was Troy Aikman. So Uncle Darin has been able to talk crap to me for a very long time. I remember that the girls were only allowed to watch Disney Channel, or I was allowed to watch a lot more than that. So me being usually the only boy, when we'd hang out, he would let me go to a different room, and he'd give me the password to unlock the TV so I could watch The Simpsons or Beavis and Butthead or whatever else I was watching. I remember going over to his house to watch WCW Halloween Havoc, Sting versus Jake the Snake Roberts, and it was freaking awesome. I remember when Stone Cold Steve Austin came out, and he fell in love with him, and I'd go over to his house and watch WWF all the time. I remember every night before he'd go to bed, he would enjoy chocolate milk and either mini donuts or half a peanut butter sandwich. And if you didn't know this was his idea of heaven on earth. That was the time to ask him questions. He was existential on the mountain, the peak of wisdom. So anytime I asked him, it was always awesome talks. I remember the first time I asked him how much he had to drink because he was dancing and acting crazy at a party. And he told me that I don't drink. I said, there's no way that your Dr. Pepper can has nothing in it. That doesn't make sense. And I found out, no, there was nothing as Dr. Pepper. Darin just loved to have fun. He loved being the life of the party, and he loved being a goof. When I was 12 years old, I tried out for roller hockey. And I found out that just because you can roller skate does not mean you can play roller hockey. And I'm pretty sure it's because I had a big head that the pads made my equilibrium right, and I kept falling over. It was terrible, but everybody was working, so Darin took me to the tryout. And I sucked so bad. And I thought I was whispering to myself like cuss words and like, dang it, just stuff. But when when we were done and we were going in his car, he said, all right, bud, you tried your best. But next time, maybe you should start watching your language. That was it. My Uncle Darin always had your back, whoever it was, and he didn't care who he had to stand up to. He had your back. I remember we were on a walk, and someone whistled at Felicia, and he took off running in his sandals. He has bad knees, man. He had knee braces and stuff. And he took off running. Like, what are you going to do to the car? Like, he took off running. He didn't care. If he loved you and you were on his side, you were his people, he had your back. Uncle Darin was really good at connecting and talking with people. There would be multiple times when I was a kid where we'd be through the drive-thru ordering food, and he would talk and make the person laugh at the drive-thru and he'd get free sodas every time, and I loved it. So I always went with Uncle Darin when we went to go get food. It usually meant we got free food or soda, and we'd eat it before we got back so nobody knew. As an adult, Uncle Darin never let an opportunity to go by to tell me how proud of me he was and how much he loved me. Uncle Darin was a lot of things to a lot of people, but most of all, he was a great example on how to be a great husband and a great father. In fact, for those, my cousins of my generation, and anybody that knew him, that was the example of how to be a father and a good husband. So not only is it helpful to remember the good times about Darin, it's important to remember all the good God has done. It is completely normal to look at this situation and blame God or ask him why, that the prayers seem to go unanswered. But look at all the good that happened through this. One, he lived a lot longer than the doctors gave him credit for. He kept fighting for his daughter and his wife. And the fact that everybody came together as a community and stopped what they were doing every night at 8 p.m. to say a prayer. It's fantastic. It's awesome. I was told that there was a cool breeze that blew through while the prayer was happening. Matthew chapter 4 says, "Those who mourn are blessed, for they will be comforted." And Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy and my burden is light." See, Jesus can handle all of your pain and your hate. He is not offended by the questions why you didn't do it, and you must not be there, or anything. He wants you to release all of that pain, the confusion, and the hate, so that you can experience true freedom and true peace. And if anybody would like to talk about that more, I'd love to talk about more. But at this time, the last thing that I want to say is make sure that you live your life like my Uncle Darin. Happy, putting others before yourself, especially your community. Build a community for support. Don't be afraid to dance, even if you can't. Never grow up, and never ever let the opportunity to tell someone you love them, they're doing a good job, and you're proud of them, because it means more than you know. All right, so at this time, I believe we're going to ask Danielle to come up and say a few words.
I didn't prepare anything. I'm going to do this as quick as I can. My dad was my hero. My best friend. He adopted me when I was 2 years old. He raised me like I was his own. And I'm very thankful that my husband was able to meet him. And I'm sorry, I can't do anymore. I love you, Daddy.
Felicia, Fifi, Fifers, come on up.
Keep going, baby. Keep going.
That's all I know. I don't know.
All right. Got my list over here, guys. So give me a second. Bear with me. I might need this paper too. I don't know. I don't know what I wrote down, so I don't know why I threw that away there. Okay, so bear with me. First of all, I wanted to say thank you, everybody, for coming. I know it's a very unfortunate situation as to why we're all together, but we're here to celebrate an amazing man's papa, right, baby? And I know that he has touched each and every one of us in a special way. It's amazing hearing my cousins and my uncles and everybody talking about him, and I can't wait to hear everybody else's stories. But you know, over the last few weeks, I've had the privilege of I've already said that. Hearing everybody's stories. You know, it just makes me so proud to call him my dad, because even when we were yay high, I know all of our friends and they all just loved Dad, and it was just amazing. I miss him so much, and I know that a day is not going to go by that I'm not going to talk to him, that I won't talk to him, and that I won't have my babies talk about him. Dad loves so deeply, and I've always looked up to him in so many ways, especially when it comes to that. He always found the good and the positive in every situation and in every person, and there's so much that I still need him for. I was Daddy's little secretary. He said it to everybody, and that's how he introduced me, was his little secretary. I was always with him. To say I was a daddy's girl doesn't even describe it. My dad was my everything, as he is to so many people in this room. I am still in just complete disbelief that we are walking down this path together, but we have, each and every one of us. Dad has taught me so many things in my life, like how to give my boys grace and to just let them be boys sometimes. He always found the positive in every situation, and he always forgave. He inspired me to be the light in the room, in every situation. He taught me how to change my tire. Just kidding. He didn't do that. We all know that Dad taught me how to just call Daddy. In every situation, that's exactly what I did. I just called Dad. He didn't teach me anything on my car or how to hang a picture. He did teach me to be gentle on myself and very forgiving on myself, because he knew how hard I was on myself. But ultimately, he taught me how to love. He taught me how to love with all of my heart and to forgive in every situation. He taught me that no matter what, my kids are my number one, because I knew that my sisters and I were his number one. I knew how much my dad adored his daughters, but watching him as a papa was just mesmerizing. From all the Lego playing to the Jack-in-the-Box runs, anything and everything these kids needed, he was there 100% of the time. And as my kids started baseball this past couple of weeks, I knew he would be there. He was so pumped to watch his little mini me start playing baseball. And the thought that he never gets to physically watch him is just unbearable at times. One of the last things that my dad made me a promise was to stay strong and to take care of Mom. I made him a promise, and I will continue to fulfill that promise. My dad was my world, and as my world may be crashing down beside me, I know that he's right there holding it all up. I know that we will meet again. Okay. Anyways, a couple of scriptures that are helping me through the past couple of weeks. Psalms 16:1. Keep me safe, my God, for in you I take refuge. Psalm 16, 8 and 9. I know the Lord is always with me, and I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me. My body rests in safety. Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 4. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. I'll be spending less time mourning and more time dancing for him, because I know that that's what he would want for each and every one of us. Oh, gosh. You know, when he was in the hospital, I saw him healed. In one of my times of sitting there in the hospital window by myself, I had closed my eyes, and I swear I saw my dad healed. And when it came time for us to say goodbye to him, I was angry. I was very angry because I swear I saw him healed. There's no way that this was actually happening. I now know that, yes, I did see him healed. I saw him healed. Because when he went up to see Jesus, he was healed. And as much as it hurts each and every one of us, he is healed. That's all I got to say right now. Do you want to say anything?
Ashley, Smashley, Ash.
Okay, bear with me, guys, because I'm really not good at speeches. Sorry. It's been 27 days since he left us. The worst days of my life. My dad was always someone you can count on to be there for you no matter what, even if you just needed someone to vent to. He was always there to listen and give advice, and he gave the best advice. One of the things I love most about my dad is how much he loved my mom. He showed me how a man should treat his wife. He definitely set the bar high. He showed me that I should never settle and to always know my worth. My dad always tried to act tough, but he was always such a teddy bear, so gentle and so caring. My dad was always the first person I called for anything I needed help with. One time, I had just gotten done with an interview for a job at the mall. I was a complete mess of nerves, and I went to the parking lot just to go home, and I couldn't find my car. I completely forgot where I parked. I called my dad, first person I always call. My dad told me to stay where I was, and he would come pick me up. He drove all the way around the mall until we found my car. He would drop literally anything he was doing to help me and my family. Many times I called him last minute to help pick up my kids from school because I was always running late somewhere, or because I just completely lost track of time. He was the one I counted on the most. My dad was an amazing papa. He absolutely adored every single one of his grandchildren. He never missed a birthday, a game, or a performance. And he made sure he was the loudest one clapping and cheering in the stands. You always heard him. He was my biggest cheerleader growing up. Always so proud of me for everything I did and accomplished in life. He remembered everything. My dad would tell everyone about my weightlifting records in high school, and I completely forgot about them. But he remembered. My dad was a girl dad. He had 3 daughters. He was so proud of all of us. It didn't bother him that he was surrounded by women. My dad would be the first one to walk into a store proudly and purchase whatever we needed as women. When I first started dating Nick, I didn't think my dad was going to approve. It didn't take a long time for my dad to warm up to Nick. He would take Nick everywhere with him, to the store, pick me up from school. He even had Nick join the pool league with him. My dad always joked that if Nick and I were to break up, I would have to be the one to leave, and Nick could stay forever. I'm not really sure if he was joking or not. My dad was never embarrassed to show his emotions, and I always loved that about him. Every week we had our shows that we all watched together as a family. And I remember that if there was a sad story on or a movie that had a sad ending, I would look over and I would see my dad and Nick both crying. Then I would think to myself, because I'm not crying, I would think to myself, did I miss something? Or am I just really heartless? It just makes me happy knowing that Nick has so many of the same qualities as my dad. Sorry. My dad and I had a lot in common. He got me hooked on peanut butter sandwiches and chocolate milk. We shared a love for football. I remember when I was little, I was a cheerleader, and all I could focus on was the kids playing football behind me. I ended up playing football for a couple of years, and he was so proud of me and talked about it all the time. Just about every Sunday, we watched football together. I promised him that one day I was going to buy him and I tickets to a Dallas Cowboy game in Texas at their stadium. I'm so sorry, Dad. I never got a chance to take you there. I don't think I'll ever be able to watch a game again. He was truly my best friend. He always called me pumpkin poo, and I would give it anything to hear him say that again. Ever since I was little, before I would go to bed, we would give each other what we called butterfly kisses. I have now passed that along to my kids and will forever keep that going. I just had a dream about him the other day. He looked handsome, as always. He looked healthy, happy, and at peace, just as I always remember him looking. I woke up crying from that dream because I tried so hard to talk to him, but he didn't say anything. He just smiled. I was upset because I wanted more. I wanted to hear his voice just one more time. I wanted him to tell me he will see me soon, and this will all be a horrible nightmare. The more I think about the dream, I realize that just by seeing him there and smiling at me, I know I will see him again. And he will be waiting for me. One of the last things I told my dad before he took his last breath was to not be afraid. He was absolutely terrified to go on the ventilator. I just hope he listened and wasn't afraid anymore. I'm going to end it with a quote about grief. Grief, I've learned, is really just love. It's all the love you want to give but cannot. All that unspent love gathers up in the corners of your eyes, the lump in your throat, and in that hollow part of your chest. Grief is just love with no place to go. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for Aunt Sissy or Elizabeth for, the adults. Okay.
Sit right here.
You're doing great. I love you so much. I have known this young woman since she was about 14, 15 years old. And I got the pleasure also of being Darin's in-law, outlaw. We used to have parties in the kitchen while the family members all gathered in the living room and told their stories and fought over what address the story happened at. It would take forever. Was it Bennett? Elizabeth has asked me to say a few words for her. As you can imagine, this is a very difficult time for her, and she has done stellar. She has been strong and brave and has been everything that she wants to show Darin she can be. And she had to say something, she told me last night, because he always had the perfect thing to say to her. So this is Elizabeth, not me. I knew I had to say something for Darin. Every year we would exchange a white rose and tell each other how we felt about each other. I always made him go first. He always had the most beautiful things to say to me. And he would finish and I'd say, ditto. Darin always took me out of my comfort zone. From the moment we met, I knew that he was the one that was meant for me. He was wild, loving, protective, caring, and made me laugh like no one else. We had a beautiful life, and I'm so grateful for every moment, every hug, and every I love you. I would give anything to have just one more day to tell him all of these things I never could find the words to say. So until the day comes where I can hold you again, my love, ditto. Did you want to say this in part? Can you do it?
You can do it.
Okay. This song's for you, Darin.
Didn't know today would be I didn't know today would be our last, that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb, I can't feel anymore. I'm praying you just walk back through that door, and you tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. You always made my troubles feel so small. You were always there to catch me when I'd fall. In a world where heroes come and go, you're the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight, singing hallelujah. Just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I'm just jealous of the angels.
So the family invites you to hang out, tell stories, help comfort each other. And if you would like to say something, you're more than welcome to come up and say anything you want. But I believe that's it. Felicia would like to say something right quick. No? Oh, Jackson, awesome.
You want to say something to Papa?
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
He
said crisscross applesauce, strawberries, and bananas. Want to say anything else to Papa?
Pastor Gary.
What?
Pastor Gary.
Pastor Gary. You all done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to thank Darin for being a huge role in my son's life. He was a father figure to my son, and he was my grandkids' papa. And I'm very blessed that they had him in their life for the amount of time that they did. And I'm just very grateful for that. But I have to tell you a story that's kind of funny, just based on what the girls were saying earlier about how Darin taught them to call their dad. I was with the girls one morning. It was Easter morning. I could not get my car started. We promised, Nick and Ashley, we would be there early. and I could not get my car started. I looked over, it was about, 6 o'clock in the morning. And Harmony looked at me and she said, Grandma, Papa's up, call Papa. He'll come help us. So we even taught that to the grandkids. So, Nick, you got big shoes to fill, babe.
I just wanted to say something really quick. Everything has been said. The family searched for so many words over the last few days just to honor Darin. And I think the biggest thing about Darin was he never left anything unsaid. So I don't think any of us in this room feel like we never said anything to Darin that we didn't want him to hear. Whether he liked you or not, you knew. And he never let you leave, whether he was mad at you or happy with you, without hugging you and telling you he loved you and to be safe. And I loved that about my brother-in-law. He was amazing. I just want to tell a quick story. Years ago, when we all were living in Temecula, we went to a comedy show. It was myself and Dave and Darin and Elizabeth. And we were kind of going, Darin goes, we're going to sit up right in front. And I go, they're going to nail us, Darin. He's like, no, we got to be right in front. And I was like, oh. Minute it started, right on the comics radar. Darin was such a huge presence. Before we know it, the comic asked for 3 people to come up out of the audience. Darin's right up. His big long arm is up there shaking, jumps up on stage, and we're kind of just cowering, drinking our drinks, like, don't pay attention to us. And he had a bit he did with bubble wrap. And so he grabbed the first girl, and he said, bubble wrap dictates a person's personality. So the first girl grabbed like one button. He said something rude to her. It was funny. Second girl, same thing. Before he could even turn to Darin grabbed the whole pile of bubble wrap up and put it in a ball and crunched it really loud. And then he stood there like Darin does with his hands on his hip and his chest out. He's looking around the room, and the room was rolling. And I totally don't even think this guy was ready, but he goes, I am Bubble Man. So from that point forward, we called him Bubble Man Wakeland. So if you ever see that around, that's why. But I love Darin. He accepted my husband. They were little buddies. He actually did the tattoo on Darin's arm. And they used to work together, and Brig got a lot of tattoos, and he had a free one coming, and Darin jumped up and said, I'll use it, and he got that Dallas tattoo, and that about killed my husband, the Viking fan. But that's Darin. So we love you, Darin. Anyone else?
Okay, I'm going to try not to cry. Throughout the 28 years of knowing the Wakeland family, I can vividly remember how much Darin loved his girls. He was the definition of what a husband and father should be, and really set the bar high for any suitors who might come along. I admired the love he had for his wife so much. Coming from a divorced family myself, seeing their love really gave me hope. They never lost that fire. A true once-in-a-lifetime soulmate kind of love. And that love carried over and poured into his girls. If you look up the term girl dad, I bet his picture would be listed front and center. From working at the school, and if you knew, we'd all jump in line to play handball with him, to being a cheer coach and our escort to the father-daughter sock hop, I will always have the best memories, all because Felicia decided to speak for me when I was too shy in kindergarten to speak for myself. And on that note, my dad really wanted to be here because he remembers vividly Elizabeth and Darin walking their daughter into kindergarten, thinking, I'm going through the same walk of life that they are, and he wishes he could be here, but he couldn't. Their family unit was and is something to envy, but also so admired. The world lost one hell of a man recently, and my heart is broken for my friends. And I pray the Lord brings some strength and happy memories and some sort of comfort through this trying time.
Sorry, I have my granddaughter with me here. Hi, I'm Donnie, friend of Darin's. Well, Sean and Darin and I were friends for 17 years. Darin used to work for me, and he had a couple of nicknames. One of them I can't repeat in public, but the second one I always called him Darin Weekend Wakeland. And because every day on a Friday, can I leave early? Can I leave early? Can I leave early? And I couldn't figure out why. Well, Darin wanted to spend time with his family. So I just figured he was trying to make it a 4-day work week. But Darin always did that. And I was very happy. Darin was the groomsman in my wedding, and Sean was my best man. So they did a couple things. They'd picked me up sideways like they were going to throw me in the ocean because we got married down at Coronado. But that was a fun time. And I was in the hospital, different hospital at the same time that Darin was in the hospital. So I decided to call his cell phone. I don't know why, but I did, because all I had to do was look at the nurses. There was nothing else to do. So I called Darin, and he answered. And he was having a little bit of trouble breathing, but he was like, hello. I said, hey, Darin, it's Donnie. And I said, what are you doing answering the phone? And then he looked at his phone, I'm guessing, and goes, well, what are you doing calling me? But I was very happy all the time that I got to spend with Darin and being in the wedding and him working with me, and best part is being able to talk to him in the hospital. So I just wanted to share that with you. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm Ramona's daughter, and we've been, the Wakelands are a chosen family, pretty much. My first memories with Darin, I actually don't remember. They're told to me. And I think the story is really hilarious. Apparently, our families met when we were living in Temecula. I was about 2 years old, later to be known as Baby Danielle, since we've got Big Danielle. And we met through the wall at first. We were neighbors, and I used to scream bloody murder every time I'd get bathed. I would say, oh my gosh. And if you want to correct me on this story, you can. I would say, she's killing me, she's killing me. And on the other hand, we had everything going on with Danielle, and so there would be yelling and screaming too. And both sides thought that we were abusing the Danielles. So I'm not sure how exactly the meeting did happen, but finally everybody met each other and found out that no, there was not abuse going on, and they were really great. But my mom met Darwood before meeting Elizabeth, and he would tell her all the time, you would really like my wife. And then he'd go home and tell Aunt Elizabeth, you would really like this woman. And Elizabeth would get a little like, oh, who's this young lady that you're hanging out with at the pool when I'm not home? And sure enough, they finally did meet. And of course, anybody who gets to know both of them knows that they are cut from the same cloth. Everything about them. And it has been such a joy to be a part of the family together. Even when we moved all the way across the country, every few years we'd meet up and make some really amazing memories, whether it was the girls coming over and getting their underwear chewed up by our dogs, or doing a road trip, a big road trip, and Aunt Elizabeth falling into the tube and into the water. And Darin is always there, just being loving and protective. And he always, there have been so many little moments, like I'm sure everyone's been having, but I just had a moment where I was to myself, and I was just like, this really hurts, because I know whenever he would see somebody that was just alone or needed a little comfort, he'd go out of his way to make you feel loved and important and like the most amazing person in the room. Now, I do want to say, if that is the Holy Spirit moving, it's really moving a lot right there. Speaking of the wind. He would always, we'd always do this little thing together. Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Who, me? Who could it be? Then who? And he would pass on that love for cookies. And I mean, everybody has said that here, the way that Darin loves and continues to love, but has loved throughout his whole life, just really ups the bar for everybody and how to love others and to be loved in return. And I'm just so thankful that I got to have him as a role model and to get to laugh with him and be told all of his silly little jokes and puns and get tickled and, just be together. He's really going to be missed. It's going to be really hard. But I'm thankful that we all have each other and that we get to continue to love. So thank you.
Okay. Nobody else wants to say anything? Okay. Well, you already said something. Did you want to say something? You want to? Go for it, babe. You don't have to.
My Uncle Darin was always that cool uncle who you could always make a joke at and he wouldn't get mad. He would laugh at it and always try to make you smile if you were sad. He was always interested in whatever I did in band or whatever sport I did. I loved him a lot.
Good job, babe. Okay, so I just want to say again, thank you for everybody here. Thank you for everybody online. There's lots of food, everybody. Just eat, please. Just eat. And we're going to play some music. We're going to play the music and let's dance and be fun and have fun like Dad would. If you haven't, please sign the memory book over there. There's a memory book by the front door, and I just ask that all of you please, please, please sign it. Write something that you want to say. That'd be great because I know that we all want to look back on it. But yeah, thank you.